Feels like we're waiting for the moves. We got our 4 check marks here. Going to wait until John behind the scenes here gives us the thumbs up to say that we are good to go on our Facebook page. Guys, go find that Mile High Huddle. Oh, wait, John's giving us the thumbs up here. Carl, take it away.
All right, everyone. Well, welcome into Mile High Insiders featuring Building the Broncos. I know that might be a little confusing, but I'm subbing in here for the day. Very excited to get 2 days here with my man, Mr. Nick Kendell. How are you, buddy?
Hey, man, doing pretty well. Went and saw a few houses today because the wife and I are looking to move out of the one we're in right now, and got home and saw the Kyle Fuller news. So really excited. I mean, that's been impending for a while. I did have a little bit of anxiety, like if he did release, the Chargers would be interested, the Colts, the Packers also, but that guy, he wants to go play more golf with Vic Fangio. I'm confident.
Well, and the nice thing is Broncos heading into today had the most cap space in the NFL with $42 million. We'll talk about that as we get into the show, but
let's say hi to some folks too, though.
We got some Ernie Mays coming in here, Holden Adams. I see Todd's in here. Todd Ostendorf, yeah. Hello, Bronco Maniacs. I like it. Levi Hope, hey everyone. Got Eddie Wilson. Let's see. Man.
Spicy Mike is in the house. EA Shalom is in the house. Rob Khalifa is in the house. We got Let Loose Records in the house. Mike Deeringer in the house. Got a good bunch of people excited to talk some Broncos. Jose Johnson. So some names we don't know, some names we do know. David Kilgore, friend of the pod. How you doing? Hey guys, how you doing? Joseph Anthony, looking pretty swole there. Looking like a chest day. Miller 707 coming in featuring his cute little dog. How you doing? Miguel Santivision. I butchered that. Sup, fellas? I did my best. That's all you could say. Really excited. Mile High Insiders featuring Building the Broncos here to talk. We obviously got to talk Tuesday night, and now we get to talk about one of the Broncos' biggest moves so far. So really exciting. And I mean, really the picture is all starting to come together, right? You kind of have an idea about the puzzle pieces. George Paton painting the picture though. And I like what I'm seeing so far. But Carl, speaking about liking what you're seeing, we should probably get into this ad read here first.
Yeah. Well, I did want to get to one. We have a new listener in, first time checking out the pod from Heartman Dad 1. I like the cool picture going there. So appreciate you tuning in for the first time. Hopefully we can get you some good information here today and you can really 100%. Enjoy the show. But like Nick said, let's get to our sponsor here today. And our sponsor today is going to be Manscaped. Listen up. As we know, 2020 was a tough time. Beginning of 2021 was a little bit tougher. Hopefully this last week has been a lot easier for everyone. With everything going on with the Broncos, get us a little bit happier. But 2021, now is the time that we can embrace the new year, new me mindset. And the best way to start cultivating that is with Manscaped. Manscaped is the best in men's below the waist grooming, offering precision engineered tools for your family jewels and helping 2 million men around the world keep their male grooming on point. If you let yourself go in 2020 and the beginning of 2021 during quarantine, Manscaped is here for you to reboot and stay clean and shaved for 2021.
Yeah, and it's obviously not just the Lawnmower 3.0, but that's obviously their pride and joy. It's waterproof. They got skin safe trimmer, which will reduce nicks to your family jewels, but also the crop mop. I know I talk about it every week, but I really like the crop mop. Refreshing ball wipes with active pH control. I'm backing all these backpacking trips. Crop mop, nice, light, individually wrapped, so it's still moist, and I'm taking that with me to the backcountry. They also have great cologne as well. They're refined cologne. My wife loves this one, so she always laughs when I talk about it because she can hear me in the other room. And also, I was supposed to give a shout out to her friend Maddie today while we're talking about Manscaped. So Manscaped brought to you by Maddie today as well. There you go, Maddie. Shout out. And the great products. Also, I really need to take care of my fingernails. I'm a violinist, so I typically have my nails taken care of very well. And they got a little long. Haven't been playing as much lately. These little to-go packs, they got like the magnet one. They're sleek. They're pretty lightweight. I really like these. I think everybody should have one. The Manscaped self-manicure kit.
All right. Well, also, we want you to know that you can get 20% off and free shipping with the code HUDDLE at manscaped.com. Your family jewels will thank you.
Yeah, guys, once again, 20% off and free shipping if you use the code HUDDLE at manscaped.com. Once again, that's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com if you use the code HUDDLE. All right. Well, speaking about huddle, the Broncos got some new guys that are going to be in their defensive huddle going into next season. And the Broncos made another move. I know the rumor was, cornerback. It was the team's biggest individual weakness going into the season. You couldn't really go into next year with Ojemudia and Callahan as your only cornerback options. In theory, I mean, saying Bassey coming off a serious injury. Broncos go out, they sign Ronald Darby, 3 years, $30 million, essentially a 2-year deal. But they brought him in. I would have been fine with just that going into next year. I mean, still a little bit concerned, but would have been okay with it. Bringing in Kyle Fuller now. Will the Bears release him? Will they trade him? Blah blah blah. He's released. The Broncos pick him up almost immediately. I mean, you want to say that there's no talking going on behind the scenes. These guys have been talking. No doubt. Yeah. No doubt in my mind. But Kyle Fuller, $9.5 million, $9 million guaranteed, 1-year deal. I love that because he is a 30-year-old cornerback. And that, I mean, once a cornerback hits 30, they could drop off in an instant. And it's such a quick twitch position that if you do lose a step, you're in trouble. But I mean, it's a great move. And gosh, what an investment in Vic Fangio from George Paton.
Right. Yeah. All these moves have shown, I think you put this on Twitter recently, that, maybe it's not so much that this is all a showing of, I think last season was a commitment to Drew Lock by using your first 2 picks on wide receivers. You got Noah Fant, of course, in the building.
Melvin Gordon, Graham Glasgow. I mean, they invested in the offense.
Yeah, they invested in that offense. This year, they made Fangio a very happy man, adding 2 corners that he very much likes a lot. Getting Justin Simmons locked up, Shelby Harris being back. You got Von Miller staying in Denver. I mean, all those positions. Pardon me, I was thinking about, we could almost talk today of just comparing this defensive unit to that 2015-16 unit. Now, I think the 15-16 unit, I think still, because they had better linebackers, interior guys, all of that. It's still a notch above. But, I mean, that was a generational defense.
Yeah. And
this is the first time I've been real excited to watch this defense in a while. And Fangio's kind of made, as the old saying goes, chicken salad out of,
chicken bleep.
Yeah. But now he's got the high-end chicken to put into the salad, and it's going to be delicious.
Working with Wagyu beef right now, right? Is that how you pronounce it? The good stuff. Kobe.
Yeah, there you go. It's a very, very exciting time. And there we go. Yeah, Mohammed coming in here. And we do have Mohammed came in way early to the show. We really appreciate that. Hype with a hippo there. Love it. From Mohammed with the super chat. Man, that looks great. Love it. And
so much,
I'm hyped for today's show. That is for sure. This is a guy that we've talked about before, that when there were some rumors, man, that he could maybe hit the market or be traded or anything like that. I would have traded for this guy.
I disagree. I disagree with you for trading for him. Okay. And it's multiple reasons. I mean, I would love to get him, but I thought there were other options out there still where I would be willing to bring him in. I did not want to bring him in for $14 million, and I really did not want to give up capital for him. The Broncos need their picks. This is a team that they need to fill out the back end of the roster still, and they might be interested in moving up for a quarterback. Those picks are very valuable. So I was willing to play chicken and see if they would blink and if they would release him. And here we are. I was thinking if the Broncos would move on from we gotta get to this one here real quick. Yeah, pulling it up. Absolutely. Pobby coming in here. Thank you so much. So excited for the Broncos country with a great cornerback signing. Made my day. Go Broncos. Well, we appreciate you so much. This made my day. Also, thank you for liking, sharing, tweeting. I think Pobby is the biggest fan of my pets besides me and my wife. She loves my dog Summit, and she I posted one of Queso today, our cat named Queso, which best name ever for a pet. I'm sorry, guys. But amazing. So yeah, thank you so much. We really happy to have you here today. And I know that you're working a new job. It's been stressful and busy for you, but it's great to have you joining us live today. We always appreciate your patronage and your eyeballs. So thank you so much. I'm wondering
where that picture was taken. Where's that background? That looks awesome.
Yeah.
I know you've been trying to figure out your backpacking trips. Man, that one looks like a good place to go.
Yeah, and let's keep rolling with these supers here. Oh, we got another one. Let's double it up. The Dungus. I was figuring this 99 would be coming for like a Fitzpatrick signing. He was saving the big guns for the big beard. But this is really good as well. Thank you so much. Obviously, you guys can find Madungus's work. He does the Mile High Roundtable. Friends of the show. We really do appreciate it. They do good stuff over there. Fun. That's a fun show.
Yeah. I like it. I definitely like it. I like the beard in the picture there. I had to trim mine up here recently, but no. Thank you very much, there, Mundungus. And let's keep these going, man. We got a lot of people wanting to talk here today.
Yes,
this is great. I saw.
And we got a lot we can talk about. I mean, how do you feel? So, while we'll get John working on the supers here as they come up, but how do you feel about this cornerback room and its transformation? I mean, obviously, we talked early before the free agency period started that cornerback was the team's biggest need. But not only did they bring in Ronald Darby, now they've brought in Kyle Fuller as well. Now, Kliss did tweet out that maybe the Broncos would move on from Bryce Callahan if they brought in Fuller, given how the contract is set up. I don't know if they will do that, but they can clear, I think, $7 million from moving on from him if they want, and only like $1 million dead cap. So it's a possibility. But right now, I mean, Fuller and Darby on the outside, and then Callahan in the slot. I mean, it's not as good as Chris Harris Jr., Aqib Talib, and Roby in 2015, in my opinion. But I mean, we've been preaching it. The Broncos needed depth and multiple guys in the secondary to keep up in this AFC West. And Paton coming from Minnesota, that's what the Vikings did as well, trying to keep up with the Packers. And they're the only team that's really been a viable threat to the Packers over the last 15 years. I think a lot of it has to do with that investment in the secondary.
Well, we have Jay from Georgia coming in here. Would you still use a second or third pick on a corner? # Broncos country, # state of being. So this is that idea. Hey, you've turned a weakness into a strength. How about we make this strength a great, really good strength, and also set up for 2022 and beyond? Really, I mean, is kind of the thought process here. And I'm not against this.
I'm not against them using the first pick on it.
Right.
If it comes out.
I mean, you still have Callahan, who has struggled to stay healthy. Darby just had his very first season of playing 16 games. Mm-hmm. You got our new guy, Fuller, he's stayed healthy all of his career, but he's getting on the wrong side of 30 now. And Ojemudia, we still don't know exactly what he's going to be moving forward, if he's going to be a true long-term solution at the position. And so you like to have as much depth as you can. I mean, we've seen where the Chiefs, I've still seen them linked to a lot of wide receivers. They're still trying to load up with weapons. And so having a counter to that of guys that can actually cover one-on-one and hold up for the most part, that's a smart investment. Yeah. You keep adding to this defense and keep it younger. I mean, that's the only thing with some of these signings is you got, well, even Shelby Harris. He's 30. Mm-hmm. And so when he gets done with this contract, he's going to be at 33. So he's on the wrong side of 30. Von Miller is maybe a 1-year rental. And you got these cornerbacks, or at least, Fuller is a little bit up there in age.
For cornerback.
Yeah, for cornerback, I guess I should say. So you want to kind of get this group a little bit younger. You're going to have to start paying some of the offensive guys here pretty soon. Cortland Sutton looking like he's maybe going to get a pretty good contract. That Galladay contract, whew.
Yeah.
I didn't think he would quite get that. I thought he'd have to do a 1-year rental kind of thing. But he got himself a big payday. So, I don't think that's the worst thing ever to go invest a second or third round pick in a corner this year.
Yeah, and when you're looking, especially day 2, I would argue day 1 as well for value positions, but day 2, you should not be framing those picks based on what they're going to contribute their rookie season, but rather what is their role 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line, 4 years down the line. And if you look at the Broncos secondary right now, cornerback, the only guy that's there beyond 2022 is, I guess Darby is, but if he's hurt, I mean, that contract's easy to get out of, but it's Ojemudia, right? So next year you're losing Callahan and Fuller off the books. So if there's a cornerback you love, there should be no reason that you shouldn't invest in it. It's too valuable of a position. You're going to be in the exact same situation a year from now, right? Where you're like, oh my gosh, the cornerback room's scary. Or if the value fits and there's a guy you love, the scheme fit, and the best player on the board is a cornerback, let's fix that hole now before it even is created.
Yeah. All right. I know we got a few more supers coming up here. I'll let John take the wheel. Rod the Bro coming in here. No point to move back, move up, and get our quarterback. We can get a cornerback in the second round or get a linebacker with the corners. we now have already and developed them.
I mean, this is going to be the biggest talking point for myself on socials, but just in general for Broncos going forward. Really, the only hole they have on the roster immediately is safety. And get with where the safety market is right now, Broncos should be able to find somebody that can plug that hole, right? And they're not going to take one at 9. And you should not go into the draft where they still have not invested in another safety, right? Like, you don't want to trade back and oh my gosh, if we don't get Mo Rig from TCU, the integrity of the defense will collapse. That's just a bad position to be. So I'm guessing they will bring in a safety for cheap. I mean, if Anthony Harris gets $5 million, you can probably bring back Kareem for similar, unless he feels too jilted about that. But we'll see.
But I did want to point out Broncos have $32.7 million in cap space after this whole signing of Fuller and then the Simmons deal. It sounds like his cap hit is going to be 5.7 or 5.8 this year. Okay. For Justin Simmons. We haven't gotten final numbers yet, but that seems to be where most people are leaning towards.
Yeah, and this is a point I kind of want to come to with Rod That Bro. Thank you very much for the super. But the thing that I want to say is that, this Broncos team, a lot of these contracts, they have room right now, but they're pretty backloaded, right? And that makes sense given the Broncos are probably a team that's going to be sold soon, and you can pay these guys more down the line when you have a more cash-rich owner situation. But that being said, this is going to have some salary cap implications down the line where the Broncos are going to have some tough decisions. I mean, Garrett Bowles' contract, it balloons in the back half. The same probably with Justin Simmons. That's also the case with, Darby, all these guys. I mean, you're going to have a decent amount of investments coming up. And then you have, it's not just the Cortland Sutton one, even though that's the most on the immediate horizon as far as Broncos that are going to be getting big paydays. But Bradley Chubb's going to be getting paid here really soon. You got that 5th year option next year, I think. It's the 5th year option. He's got 2 more years of control, right? I think so, but he's going to be expensive in 2022. That contract is on the horizon. Draymond Jones is going to be on the horizon as well. Noah Fant. And if you want to be able to pay these guys, keep the gang together, so to speak, you only have 2 years left of Drew Lock control. If you take a rookie quarterback this year, that quarterback control window goes from 2 years to 5 years. And that gives you a much better chance to retain this young talent that is deserving of big contracts, because the Broncos have actually started to do pretty darn well at draft and developing. So food for thought. I think that's something people don't frame that opinion about a lot. 2 years of control versus 5 years of control is a massive difference for how you can construct a roster.
Right. All right. So we have another super coming in here from Michelle Parker. Appreciate the super chat. And I wonder how much Fuller has left to give the Broncos. That is a great question. Thank you, Michelle. Really, really do appreciate it. He still looked pretty good last year. It wasn't as great as his elite years with Fangio, but yes, it was still a good year. And I think under the Fangio system, they can really do well in getting him to play at his maximized ability. I mean, his best work is off ball, being able to come downhill. It's same with Darby. I mean, that's why they really liked his game, is his ability to come downhill, make plays. And so I'm excited to see these two. I think he's still got 1 year of really, really good cornerback play and maybe 2 more years of good cornerback play left in him.
Yeah, I mean, you never know with cornerbacks, right? They can just fall off really quickly. Yep. I think he's still going to be good this season. Now, am I expecting all-pro? It's not like the Broncos just brought in Jalen Ramsey, but still, this cornerback and coverage in general is a collective effort. And it's as much about the pass rush as it is the guys in the back end. The Broncos front 4 looks pretty darn good. I say front 4 because, guys, nickel is the new base. They just get used to it. 5 defensive backs. So Shelby Harris, Draymond Jones, Von Miller, Bradley Chubb, with those guys back there, I mean, it's going to be fun. It's very much a short-term window win for it. And again, coming back as an investment in Vic Fangio, because if the Broncos went, let's say 5-11 this year, Vic's gone. But with the moves that they're making right now, it's very much we're not going for it all this year, probably because of the quarterback situation, but we are pushing for playoff contention and directionality forward in general, which this team has been lacking since Peyton Manning was in the house. So it's all good. It's great moves. I'm really excited about the direction of the team. George Paton is doing a great job.
Right. All right. Let's keep these going here. We got David coming in here. Yeah, man. Always a fan of the show. Really appreciate it. And I think we've both been on his show.
I'm going to be on next week with him.
Oh, cool. I think I'm sometime in April. So there we go. We'll tweet that out when we get to that. But thank you, David.
Yeah, David, thank you.
Under what circumstances should Denver stay put at 9? I would say there's a few. So obviously, one, if one of their quarterbacks happen to fall to their position, you go ahead and get your guy there. Although I think you're gonna have to go up and get him. I mean, that's just pretty obvious.
If you like them enough to take them at 9, you should like them enough to go up and get them. It's that simple.
Yeah.
The quarterback position, you shouldn't overthink it. If there's your dude, go get him.
Yeah.
Period.
But there's still some talk of the value of Sewell at the offensive tackle position, of where he's going to go. Some teams might like another guy a little bit more than him. I don't know. I'm not sure where that's all falling. I know some people seem to be saying he's really kind of fallen off a cliff here a little bit, which I still don't quite believe.
He could fall off a cliff to 9 overall and the Broncos scoop him up. That would be that'd be okay with me. I mean, it's again talking about the long-term needs of the Broncos. Okay, you're paying Juwan James all this money this year, but you can save $8 million moving on from him next year. Even if he's good next year, I'm looking to trade him, right? Like I'm cashing in now. This is like, I'm not getting my total investment back, right? You bought a stock here, it dipped a little bit, but now it's kind of right here. And you're like, oh man, should I wait to get it back up here? No, sell now. Because I think odds are better that it's going to drop again. So sell high. And if you get Sewell there at right tackle, you can invest at 9 now. Do it. It's just such a valuable position.
Right.
Is he there? That's a different question. I don't really believe he would be there at 9.
Yeah. Another one. I know a lot of this might get some pushback, but Pitts.
Yes, that's what I was hoping you'd say.
Yeah.
God, yes.
He's just okay. Of all the players, and this draft has some great weapons in it. Running back, wide receiver, and then of course Kyle Pitts at the tight end position. There's not really much
offensive draft.
Yeah. But Kyle Pitts takes the top of that list. What he can do, he can play that tight end, he can play X, he can play pretty much any position you want. Slot receiver if you really wanted him to. And just he has that kind of versatility. He has athleticism. He's got size. He's got great hands. He's got he's got an ability to block. I think that is underrated. I think a lot of people are just like, this is a receiving option, so you're not going to be using him in that blocking capacity. But if he's on the field, he's going to have to block at some point. And so he's just that kind of player. We talked about it before. If there is a player that stands a chance to be a Hall of Fame player from this draft, it's probably him.
Yeah, I agree with that. Even with Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, he's at the top of that list. And so I just think if he's there at 9, you have that conversation.
Yeah, and also I think people really maybe overhyped to Albert Okwuegbunam and even maybe Noah Fant to an extent, right? But we're talking about a different level prospect here in Kyle Pitts, and I am a subscriber, card-carrying member of positional value. But when it comes to players in the pass game, I believe in positionless football, and it's directly related to EPA per play. Like guys, there's not many tight ends who can function as a team's wide receiver 1, but there are those guys. And I think Kyle Pitts could be that guy. George Kittle, effectively receiver 1. Darren Waller, definitely receiver 1. Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, you can they have 2 1s. I would say 1A and 1B. I think Kyle Pitts could project as that. And it's also, you make a great point. It's not just his ability to play Y, F, or H, where all those tight end kind of fullback positions. He can move out and play big slot. He can move out and play X. And coming back to here, thinking long-term, because this is what building the Broncos is about, right? It's long-term roster building projection. You have 2 guys at X who could be gone next year. And Cortland Sutton, which Kenny Golladay contract, Sutton's going to get paid if he's healthy at all. I mean, he's better than Golladay, and he's going to get paid. And Tim Patrick also. So I think Pitts can function as an X as well. So if he's there at 9, he should not be there at 9. But if he's there at 9, you have to have that conversation. So
right.
That's about it for me, though.
Yeah. All right. John Houston coming in here. I heard rumors on Akeem Hicks. Can you validate?
I think there's interest. If he's released, I think it's possible. I know that some people are like, oh, why would you do that? I mean, you're strengthening a strength, and Hicks is 330, 6'6". Like, he's a different kind of player than you have right now. Like, you don't have that length and mass on this team. So to add him, bring in either Harris or Jones on third down and kind of rotate in there, that's not a bad thing, especially if you can get them at a slight discount, which I think Hicks might be interested in coming to the Broncos, playing with Chubb and Vaughn and the cornerbacks they have right now. I mean, obviously, Patrick Mahomes, but you're going to have to come across that anyway if you want to win it all, right? You're going to have to beat the best to be the best. Right. So I think he was potentially in a trade talk with the Broncos, but they, like I said, they bet on themselves saying, nah, you're going to blink first. They blinked. Right. Now Fuller's a Bronco. What a great first name too. Kendall. Oh, just rolls off the tongue. No, that's his brother.
Okay, all right. Rogue Theory. I like the I like the face covering there. That's kind of cool. I'm stoked on all the moves that George Paton has made so far. A+ grade from me. What do you guys think so far on the job he's done?
I would give him an A so far. I mean, the only thing, it's still TBD, right? Like there's still moves to be made. I would love the Broncos to bring in a Billy Turner-esque, maybe even if that's even bringing Elijah Wilkinson in at tackle before you get to the draft, because I do not feel comfortable with Jawan James and Calvin Anderson and insert draft pick here. Like I would rather have another tackle, even if it's like for a vet min. You just need a body there that you can't go into like a Jake Rogers type, right? Like that unacceptable. And Calvin Anderson's better at left tackle than right, so I'm more concerned about right. And then safety. Safety is the other one too. So it's an A, but there's still, grades to be left. Right. And also I'm a lot of people very upset sentimentality wise with moving on from Philip Lindsay. You guys know I don't really value the running back position. Lindsay's a great story, good energy player. If they had brought him back, that'd have been fine. But also the fact that they let him walk and he got $3.25 million, that's about what his value is. And he wasn't a great scheme fit here. I mean, it's just short term. He's older. He has a lot of carries already, older for the running back position and where he is. It stinks for the story. But like overall from a football scope, I don't put too much weight in letting him go. I don't think it's a big needle mover.
Right. All right. David Kilgore coming in here. Since we have gotten 2 cornerbacks in free agency, does this mean we are looking at quarterback or linebacker in the draft? Is it true that running back Harris is in play? Why? So I'll take this one here a little bit.
Yeah,
I would say no position is off the board at this point, because I mean the great thing is like cornerback. Yes, it's great that you got these guys, but again, like you said, Fuller and Callahan could be gone next year. So you still need to keep adding to that position. You don't know what Ojemudia is going to be. Darby could get hurt again. There's just a lot of questions still surrounding that position. Safety, obviously, you could still use somebody there. Linebacker, yes, you could use somebody. I guess probably not at pick 9 because I don't think the value is quite there of edge.
It depends on what you think. Oh, never mind. Edge. I thought you were going to say linebacker.
No, edge. Linebacker, yeah, I'm not a Parsons guy right now. I like a lot of other guys in the draft, and I'd rather not take the risk on him. But if you trade back and there's a guy that you really like, it's still there. Quarterback, yes, it's there. Running back, yes, we're both pretty big proponents on not taking running back early in the draft because it just doesn't value-wise end up adding up very well. I mean, look at the Broncos the last, 10 years, something like that. I guess it'd be about 10 years. The best running backs they've had, undrafted guys, Philip Lindsay, CJ Anderson. And so the value is just hard to find there. But you look at the Vikings, they did take running back pretty high, getting a second rounder. And obviously, do what?
And a third as well with Madison.
Oh, yeah, good point. So running back has been a position that they have valued. But if they trade back, yes, I could see Harris being in play. Them kind of going, hey, we got all these other picks. Let's take this guy that we know fits our system, that we think is going to be a playmaker for us. He does add in the pass game, which is great. He's a pretty good pass blocker. Not a huge strength, but I think he's a decent pass blocker. He's not he's right there at 1A, 1B for me for top running back. Javonte Williams is another that I think his explosiveness just really outpaces what Harris can bring to the table. And I'd rather have an explosive running back if I'm taking one early, just a guy that can really hit that home run for me. So like I said, I don't think there's any position, even wide receiver, tight end, we already talked about him, offensive tackle, all of those positions I think are really much still very in play.
Yeah, and I will say if the Broncos, the thing about taking a running back in the first round is the draft picks outside of the quarterback position, because quarterbacks operate differently, are slotted. So you're taking a running back and you're pretty much just punting on the value of that first round pick because they're going to get paid big money out of the gate, where you get a really great bargain at a cornerback, at an offensive tackle, at a wide receiver, at a another edge rusher, especially. So I guess they could do it. I wouldn't be a big proponent of it, but we'll see what happens. We got B Quinn 1838 with a somewhat interesting picture there. I'm not sure. I have a little chill in my spine, but maybe it's the comment here. No Fly Zone 2, Electric Boogaloo. Thank you very much. That's good. That. I like it. I feel like the Broncos need to add another defensive back still before I'm really all in on the no-fly zone too. Maybe somebody that can play safety, but maybe that's even kind of a slot safety hybrid named Elijah Molden. I wouldn't hate that at all. Yeah, hint.
Yeah.
It's going to be exciting. I'm really excited too. I mean, there's depth questions on the defense still, but you got the draft to kind of fill out some of that depth. We got Tyler Randall coming in here too. Tyler, good to see you. Thank you so much. Coming in hot every single show now, man. We really do appreciate it, and we definitely recognize this Fuller signing is a perfect fit. Let's get it. Hashtag Denver Broncos for life. Absolutely a perfect fit. I mean, peanut butter and jelly, right? Ranch and everything, right? That's the best combo. No, but it's a great one. I mean, I think it speaks a lot of the Broncos' interest in Fuller, but also Fuller's interest in Fangio and Ed Donatel, that he can go here. And I mean, he's probably going to make himself money coming here too. I mean, I know he's going to be 30, but this isn't a team. You're adding a strength now, right? The cornerback room has turned around drastically, and the pass rush should be that much better next year because Von Miller, Bradley Chubb a year further from the ACL, Draymond Jones, year 3, who, I mean, you know, if you guys listen to the show at all, Carl and I are huge Draymond Jones fans. So that's thank you so much, Tyler. And that's a good one. It's a great signing. And again, I love that it's 1 year, because if they would have paid him like a 3-year deal at 30 years old, I would have been a little bit like, yeah, that's good. But the way these contracts are set up, I'm a little bit concerned about the long term. 1 year, 30-year-old cornerback, chef kiss. Great. Good job, Peyton.
All right. David coming back again. Since Denver hasn't gotten a quarterback yet in free agency, does this smell of a Watson trade coming soon? So you guys think that we are seriously looking at that trade? Well, problem is, man, all this legal stuff has really put this into such a weird gray area with Watson. And until all of that gets figured out, I don't think the Texans could trade him to anybody, and I don't think anybody would be trying to trade for him at this point. So I do think I know that the Broncos and a lot of other teams still have tons of interest in Watson, but it's kind of like Von Miller. Broncos didn't want to start really talking contract with Von Miller until all of his legal stuff got worked out. And so it's the same here with Watson. I hope we get an answer to that sooner than later, obviously, so we can kind of figure out what's going to happen there. And I don't want to speculate one way or the other in that situation.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, you said it best. It's such a gray area now. And also the value of Watson before, it was, all over the board because he can kind of dictate it as well with no trade clause. But now, like, teams like, well, we don't know what's going on here. Let's just give you 1 first-round pick, where the Texans are like, well, we don't know what's going on here. He's still worth 5 first-round picks. So B. Quinn coming in here. Let's make sure Watson isn't a creep first. I mean, look at the picture here of the B. Quinn's picture here. I agree. Like, let's not do the creeps. That one gives me the creeps, man. I'm not like, if you made that, respect, but I don't know what's going on. I'm a little heebie-jeebie. Roughing the Passer coming in saying Pitts, Glenn Hauser coming in. Also Glenn, friend of the show. He said, evening guys, who do each of you think will be the next 2 or 3 free agent signings? Hashtag Hey Carl, hashtag Nick's National Park Pass bribery fund. I like it. My parents always get us a National Park Pass every year. So God bless you, mom and dad. But I'll take it. I'm on the market for a better backpacking tent. That's the next big one. Those things go like $500 a pop. So yikes. But 2 or 3 free agent signings. I think, obviously I mentioned tackle already, right? Like, that's one. Offensive tackle, even if it's a low level kind of guy, I think you need another body that if Jawan James can't play, Calvin Anderson needs to earn his spot, right? Like, exclusive rights free agent who's had up and down play. He should not be written in pen on the roster, right? He needs to have a competition with somebody. Another one probably would be another cheap level running back that might be able to bring something to the pass game. I think maybe it'd be kind of funny to do a swap. Philip Lindsay goes to Houston. Broncos signed Duke Johnson, who's a really good pass catcher, and that's something that this offense is looking for. Other than that, maybe a linebacker. Oh, a safety too. Safety.
I was gonna say, and I know Kareem Jackson, the Broncos are letting him test the waters and all that. Don't count him out on coming back to the Broncos. I mean, they're still, like I said earlier, Anthony Harris just got a 1-year, $5 million deal. Yeah. And there's a lot of people who were like, go get this guy. I was surprised he didn't sign for a little bit more. He had a down year, but it wasn't so down that I thought he would get $5 million. I thought he'd get maybe 8 to 9 to 10 million kind of area.
Yeah. And also, quick shout out here. Big E Bronco, Nick and me, you and sharing the brain right there with Elijah Molden. Also, it's I believe Big E Bronco's birthday today. So shout out to you. Happy birthday, buddy.
Nice.
Thank you so much. Facebook friends, we're out here, and just wanted to give you a shout out there, Big E. And we got Dave Darlington coming in here. I'll judge this offseason after week 4. I mean, right, that's a good point, Dave. That's a good point. I mean, last year the Broncos injuries were kind of an outlier, right? And if you had that back-to-back seasons, that would be, you're talking about like Los Angeles Chargers level of bad luck. Mm-hmm. But it's possible. Every year it resets, and you got an older defense. So, anything could happen. But, still, we're happy right now. This is a celebration one. Don't bring in realism in here, Dave. That's normally our job to do that.
All right, David coming in here again. Thanks, David, for this heads up. Hicks likely to stay in Chicago now, as Brad Biggs said. And I mean, that's the thing is I think they were letting him talk to other teams, talk about trade, all that kind of stuff. But he's still valuable to the Bears. Mm-hmm. And I'm still not sure what direction they're going. I mean, it's just I feel bad for Bears fans right now. They went from like one day, oh my gosh, we are in talks with the Seattle Seahawks about Russell Wilson, to the very next day, hey, look at this. We have made this big quarterback signing, Andy Dalton. And he's going to be our starter.
And it stinks for them because like that's a team that is prime, like get rid of everybody that's older and expensive, trade them for whatever you can, and just suck next year. Just be bad. It's better you don't want to be old and mediocre. Like that's the worst spot to be. And that's exactly where they sit. And they can't do that because of the decision makers, head coach and general manager are on a do or die season. Right. So they're like 1 year off and they're spending resources to like compete this year. And it's just like, what are you doing? You're just like, make a decision, pick a direction. It's that ambiguity, not, putting feet in both pools kind of thing where it's like, you're just going to walk in a circle, right? Like you have 2 left feet right now. You're just going to keep over and over again.
Yeah.
Really dumb. Right. Really dumb.
Well, yeah. Yeah. We've got Eric Gerst coming in here. With the amount of cap space remaining, thank you for this super chat. And this is an interesting one. I'd like to see Denver go get Jadeveon Clowney for a short-term deal.
I haven't thought about that one. Clowney's so weird, man.
I know. Let me ask you this: why? Because he's had some productive moments, and he's one of the more athletic freaks to come into the NFL over the last 10 years. Why is he having so much trouble finding a team that really wants to commit to him long-term?
I think part of it is his profile versus his production. Now, obviously, disruption is production, but there is something to be said about finishing. And Clowney, over multiple seasons now, has struggled to finish. I think he's not the most flexible player, so he doesn't really have that ability to finish his pass rush moves. He's explosive off the get off, and he's long and strong, but like to be able to turn the corner and cut space, that's not his game. I mean, I like him best when he's like over the A gap or B gap and just destroying a guy. And that's when you see his tools. But like as far as like an edge rusher, like bending, I mean, not as good as the profile as you'd think. So that's a big one. Also, I mean, there's been some concerns about Jadeveon Clowney's work ethic, right? Like I'm not making that up. That's been talked about a few times, right? He's this really talented guy, but sometimes he's getting by a little bit just on that talent, right?
Right.
So,
but hey, if he wants a 1 year, $5 million kind of deal, just to prove it, hey, I'm going to come in here, be really productive with a great defense. I wouldn't argue against it.
Do you think he'd want to come here where he's probably going to be the guy off the bench? Right? Like that's my biggest thing. Like he's not at that point where he's going to be playing for another contract after this if it's a 1 year deal. Right. So do I want to come in where it's Von Miller and Bradley Chubb? I probably not. Now, I never say never. You never know, but that just doesn't seem super, super likely. Like that makes more sense. Like if he's going to do that, why don't you just go to like Tampa Bay for a year, right? Like if you want to be that kind of guy. So we got Adam Valentine coming in here. Thank you so much, Adam, coming in from YouTube with the super chat. Appreciate you. Keep on keeping on, John. We got some more coming down the tracks here. Here we go. Dave from Georgia again. On the subject of corners, do you think that Eric Stokes will be available at pick 40? Carl, go ahead. Oh, looks like you got a cough. You good? You're muted.
Oh, sorry. I had to accidentally hit it there.
That happens.
That's going to be right in the general area where he's going to go. I'd say he's probably going to go a little bit earlier. I
might be there at 40.
I would take him there at 40.
I do like him at 40. He's super athletic in his jumps and his straight line speed. However, his agility metrics are very concerning. I will say, obviously, the tape, he does look a little stiff on tape as well. And I think his 3-cone and shuttle time were like in like the 6th and 7th percentile. And that's with pro day numbers. So like those are typically inflated. So there's a little bit of concern there. I wouldn't be against it. That being said, I would honestly, at this point, with how Broncos have set up this team, I'd be more interested in Elijah Molden there. Just because it's safety nickel hybrid type, that's a perfect scheme fit. So we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, no, it's good. It will be really interesting. Carl, so now that you're talking about this, where do the Broncos sit with the 9th overall pick? Or where do you sit with the 9th overall pick? Obviously, there's multiple directions where the Broncos could go. We talked about Pitts and Sewell, but what in your heart of hearts? Let's say you're putting on your general manager hat here for a second. What is Carl Dumler, the Denver Broncos general manager, looking to do?
I'm trading up to 3.
Trading up to 3. Okay. Two questions from that one. 2 questions. One, what are you willing to give up?
I'm willing to give up probably your 1st and 2nd round pick this year, your 1st and maybe like 4th round pick next year.
Wow. That's a lot. It's a lot of cheddar, as they say. And
it is.
I mean, you're going to be competing with the Panthers. Probably you're going to be competing with the 49ers, probably. Maybe even still the Bears, maybe even still the Patriots. Those are all teams that have short-term quarterbacks, and the Washington football team. Didn't say it wrong that time. So there's teams out there on the market, and oh gosh, Lance coming in. Speaking of Lance, the second question is, who are you trading up for? I think let's just assume Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson are off the board. Who are you trading up for?
Justin Fields.
Justin Fields. All right. Yes. You heard it here, guys. Justin Fields. Okay, not Trey Lance. Justin Fields.
Yes.
Why is that? Because it does seem like the NFL, not general media, not draft media specifically, where Justin Fields is more of a known product at Ohio State, is the quarterback 4, according to the NFL, not quarterback 2 or 3.
Right. So one reason, I think he is more of your true day one starter compared to Trey Lance. I think Trey Lance has a better arm. But Justin Fields doesn't have a terrible arm by any means. It's not weak. It's a good arm. I think he's more accurate than Trey Lance. I think he made some more NFL type throws than Trey Lance so far in his career, and that speed. That I think both of them are probably pretty close in speed, but I think Justin Fields is a little bit better about feeling pressure, being able to. I know he got sacked a lot, but it's more because he was trying to do too much.
It's also partly the Ohio State offense. The option reads are slow developing, and you're supposed to hang, and he does. So
right, and he does a great job of just being able to make plays out of nothing. I think of all the top quarterbacks, he was the best at just making a negative play into a very positive play, and I loved his character that he showed there at the end of the season. That I mean, he was fighting with everything he had. That national championship. He was the only reason that Ohio State was kind of in it for the first half. The rest of the team kind of seemed to be intimidated or just slow. Justin Fields was given everything he had. And especially when you consider he had some broken ribs, that man was out there just laying it all on the line. So that really goes a long ways for me. I would be happy with Trey Lance too. Don't get me wrong. I love both of them. But I have Justin Fields just a notch above.
I've said it from the beginning. I think there's 4 great quarterback prospects in this class, and I have a hard time. Trevor Lawrence is number 1, but after that, if you ask me to rank Lance, Fields, or Wilson, it's like arguing ice cream flavors, right? Like you're just talking about what's your preference rather than actually what is categorically better, in my opinion. I do know that some have more risk than others, but I think drafting a quarterback is more like a home run derby than an actual baseball game, right? Like you need to swing for the fences. I'm not looking to get on base. I'm looking to get home.
Yep.
So we got Pobby coming in here also with another super. Pobby, thank you so much. Happy birthday, Big E. We are grateful to have you in the MHH community. And we definitely agree with that. Happy birthday to you. I won't say your name on here because you don't have it as your actual name, but give you some privacy there. But happy birthday, Big E.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always fun talking football with him, and Pobby always appreciate all the times of getting to chat with you as well, and Absolutely. How much both of you have supported the MHH community. Just huge. All right. Brandon Harden coming in here with the super chat. Bama Broncos. Did we getting any draft picks from Philip Lindsay? No, we didn't. That was honestly, this is again another sign of Paton. I think he has done a great job of connecting with players. I mean, I don't know if anybody heard his conversation with Justin Simmons when they were talking about the contract, getting it done, just being like, dude, I am here to support anything and everything about you. Same with Shelby Harris. I mean, both those guys just talking about, hey, this is home. This is the place to be. And I think they did a great thing for Philip Lindsay. Let him go out there, get his money, take care of his family. I think he just had a kid not too long ago. Mm-hmm. This was the best opportunity for him to maximize his value at this point. And so I think letting him get out of that, I mean, it was original round tender, so the Broncos weren't going to get anything back.
But they rescinded that.
Yes. Yeah, they rescinded that. But even if they had kept that and another team made an offer, the Broncos weren't going to get anything in return.
Yeah, it just meant that the other teams would be more amenable to approaching Lindsay from the start because there wasn't that the Broncos could match it hanging over him. So he just had the ability to go out there and get the best deal for him possible, which is great. And I hope kind of sad, kind of funny that he went to the Houston Texans just given their situation and how much they've already invested in the running back position. But, we'll see what happens. Hoping for the best from him. I mean, what a great story. And, not to be cliche, but Dr. Seuss, man, like, don't be sad that it's over. Be happy that it happened, right? Like Philip Lindsay and time in Denver. Great. Can't take that away. In the shop with Willie coming in here, the $5 super. Thank you so much. Speaking about cars earlier, I don't know a damn thing about. Are you a car guy, Carl?
I am not. I'm not.
Man, we got to talk with Willie about that.
I'm the guy that has to look up every time a light comes on my dashboard. What does this light mean? Oh, no.
There are lights on the dashboard?
Yeah.
Oh, that explains a lot. Okay, in the shop with Willie, we still need a little bit more depth on defense. So we're probably rolling with Locke. We'll be a playoff team this year, barring injuries. I mean, you never know. I think that is a good point. Carl, I want to bring this back to you, not to be a Debbie Downer, so to speak, but this defense, even though they are a little bit older, maybe they do need some more depth because defense is a depth-based, their production's based on depth a lot of times. Are you at all worried? Let's say the Broncos don't make a move at quarterback. Let's say even if they do make a move, it's like getting Nick Foles or something, something super marginal that doesn't really move the needle other than solidifies the floor of the room. Yeah. What are the chances that this Broncos team does contend next season as a good team, but is just like not in a good position to contend long term? And the names that immediately come to mind to me, specific situations recently, you have the 2017 Jaguars with Blake Bortles, carried by a great defense, and they regressed fast, just like defenses tend to do. They have 1 to 2 years of greatness, and then they tend to regress because guys get old, guys leave, et cetera, et cetera. So that's a team. And then also, not to bring it too close to home with Vic Fangio, but the 2018 Bears, another team, great defense, good supporting cast, Mitchell Trubisky. They're good that one season, and also good enough where those teams are like, well, maybe we should give this guy another chance. But the reality is, the quarterback position is not good enough, and you lose that window to compete. So do you have any worries about that? Because I won't lie, like, I'm happy about the defense. I'm excited about the direction of this team, but there's a little voice in the back of my head. It's like, fans are going to be talking about QB wins. Like the Broncos went 12-4. Locke's great. Like quarterback wins isn't a thing. But do you have that worry, or am I just really pessimistic?
So I think even with a great defense in the AFC right now, you still need pretty decent quarterback play to make it to the playoffs. I mean, you think about there was a 10-6 team that didn't make the playoffs last year, and that was with an extra playoff spot added this past year. And so right now the AFC is absolutely loaded with quarterbacks, loaded with great teams, and a lot of teams that have done a lot to sell out to actually go win a Super Bowl. And so I think you're still going to need Locke to have to take a pretty big step up if you were talking about playoffs, even with a great defense here in Denver. Right now, I mean, AFC West, you've got 2 quarterbacks that are for sure top 10, or at least should be top 10 this next year. You got Derek Carr, who's right on the edge of that 10 to 12.
I was going to say, which quarterback are you talking about there? Because Derek Carr is right in that conversation. Although I am going to see if he turns into a pumpkin with that offensive line, because Derek Carr without pressure.
That's why I feel a lot more comfortable putting Derek Carr third in that quarterback ranking. Yeah. And so, I mean, that's a lot of great quarterbacks right here in this division alone. it's going to be tough just to get to that second spot in the division. And I mean, you're going to have to get there to get to the playoffs, in my opinion. I don't think there's going to be 3 teams that make it from the AFC West.
Yeah, no, good point. We got Hugh coming in here. When do you experts expect us to get a resolution at quarterback, especially if we trade for a quarterback like Darnold, Foles, Minshew? Feels like we move up for a quarterback in the draft. I mean, if the Broncos trade for Darnold, I would say that the ability to go for a quarterback in the draft vanishes because the capital that you would use to go up and get that quarterback was just used on Darnold. And I also think that unless you have a drastic grade difference on Darnold versus the quarterbacks available, and let's just say Lance and Fields, because I don't think you're going to get up 2 or 1 to get Wilson or Lawrence. But let's say you view Darnold much better than Lance or Fields, then maybe you go get there and trade 2 seconds or a second and third for Darnold. But you have to be way more sold on him than those 2 guys because Darnold's going to be $19 million against the cap in 2022, right? Like that cost, we talk about the cost control. It's not there for Darnold where it would be with that rookie. And at that point, just use the capital to trade up for a rookie quarterback.
Yeah. At this point, I think I have reached, just because I don't think the Watson situation is probably going to be figured out before the draft. And I'd rather go ahead and get some things figured out with that. So it's either stick with Locke or go to the draft. That's kind of where I'm at. I love Darnold. You know, there might not be a bigger fan of Sam Darnold than me. And if they did make that decision to go after him, I'd be pretty happy about it. There's just a ton of risk that comes with that because you have to make your decision on his 5th-year option right off the bat, and you're probably not picking that up. So then you've got him for 1 year to prove that he is the man, and then have to decide who you're going to pay, who's going to be let go. And I'm not sure, like I said, the draft capital that you're giving up, probably at least a 2nd-round pick to do that, not worth it at that point with that much risk added to it. So I like Darnold, and I'd love him in Denver, but the risk reward isn't quite there where I like it.
And on that last super, Bonner's pulling up this next one, but John's pulling up this next one, but he didn't list the guy that I'm waiting for. I'm waiting to see what happens with Marcus Mariota, right? Like that's kind of a who's going to blink first with the Raiders right now. They're not going to trade him in division. Am I interested in paying him? What is it? 12 million, 10.5 million? No, but if Marcus Mariota is released, that's the guy that I'm most interested in. I think it's the fact that you don't have to give up capital and bring in that guy. So, and I think he's a great fit for Shermer's offense as well.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. His short area throwing ability, he is highly accurate. He showed that in college a lot. This last year, I thought he showed his ability to, I thought he was a lot more aggressive in his running, where he actually realized, hey, I'm an athletic quarterback. I can take off and run. Yeah. He actually used it. And if more teams have to respect that ability of his, and then you throw in his accurate passing and these kind of weapons. I mean, right now in Denver, there's not many teams that have more weapons that can take a 5-yard pass and turn it into a touchdown than Denver right now. Yeah. And so you just get that ball in their hands with an accurate pass with room to run. This offense can really take off with that. So I think Mariota, that's a great one to throw out there.
Yeah, if he becomes available, I'm in Peyton's bedroom at 6 feet still. You know, I'm vaccinated, but at 6 feet, just respect him. Yelling in his face, though. 6 feet. Go sign that guy because that just makes so much sense. We got Shadif Hinson coming in here. I like Greg Newsome, J.C. Horn, Richie Grant. What do you guys think? I really like Newsome. If the Broncos trade back to like 20 and take Newsome, good job, Peyton. That's the value game, baby. You took you got a cornerback that can do some outside stuff, maybe some safety stuff, some slot stuff, perfect scheme fit, long-term sign. You got more capital. Beautiful. J.C. Horn, I don't think he's a scheme fit. I'm going to be honest. I do not like him off coverage. And Vic Fangio played the 2nd highest rate of off coverage of any team in the NFL last year. Actually, the highest if you include slot as well. But the highest rate, or the 2nd highest for wide cornerback. J.C. Horn, if he doesn't play press, he grabs like crazy. And I don't know. He scares me. I think other teams, more press heavy schemes will like him. Richie Grant, if he's there at 71, I'm in. 40 is a little rich for me for a 25-year-old safety that did not have great 2019 tape as well and has tackling concerns.
Right. In coverage, Richie Grant, one of the better safeties in this entire draft.
Yeah.
But yeah, you ask him to have to come down and tackle. And if you're asking him to take over what the Broncos asked Kareem Jackson to do, it's not going to end well, I don't think. He's going to have to really improve some areas of his game. And J.C. Horn, you're right. You don't want to take him out of what he does best. You want to get players that you can put them in their best position, especially early in their career, to build confidence. and J.C. Horn playing off, you're going to have to change up. And Vic Fangio has shown he is willing to change up a little bit. I mean, he switched a lot more to man coverage. He still played a lot. I mean, it was mostly off man, but he played a lot more man coverage than zone coverage as the season progressed. That was mostly because of injuries. And so I think he could figure out a way to do that with J.C. Horn a little bit. But I just think there are other guys that it's a lot more of a seamless transition for them right off the bat.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point. I think it's kind of like the Isaac Yiadom thing, right? Like he was in the wrong scheme. Press guy. If he's the off coverage, he's just too stiff. Does not have the click and close. He's not explosive enough in the short area. And J.C. Horn's a better cornerback than Isaac Yiadom. Don't get me wrong, but it's like I think they're going to bring in a guy who's just that much better in press than off. That just doesn't seem like something they're going to do. So going down that rabbit hole, it's cornerback specifics here, but it's a good point, right? Like, and people are saying, I think it was Luke and I went back and forth a few times on the show saying like, well, maybe Vic Fangio is not going to be here very long. Why would they look for something specific to the scheme? Well, first off, you should still probably be drafting to the scheme that you have. And there are guys who are scheme transcendent, but those guys are rare and they typically go top 15 every draft. Yeah. But that said, I mean, look at what free agency has been this year. This is an investment in Vic Fangio in 2021 and beyond. And I think this match quarters defense, this scheme is here to stay. And I know the press corner cover one, but I think the Broncos fans maybe romanticize it a little bit because that 2015 defense, Wade Phillips, et cetera, et cetera. But the match quarters is what's here right now. And that's what's the best. And everybody's trying to do what Vic Fangio is doing. I mean, Brandon Staley's like 3 years removed from being a quality control coach, right? Like, or 4 years. And now he's a head coach because people want this match quarters defense. You got the guy who did it in Vic Fangio. So we're rolling that way.
All right. Well, we have Christian Garris coming in here, $4.99 chat. I really appreciate it. Who's your fill for the open safety spot? Hashtag state of being, hashtag DB for life, or 4L, I guess I should say. But I think there's a few options still out there. Unfortunately, I'm not a huge fan of this safety class for this draft. There's a few guys I like, but not a whole lot. You mentioned one earlier. Moehrig is a great one.
He's probably the first one.
Yeah. Holland, I think, would be another good one there. I'm still a big fan of bringing Kareem Jackson back.
I think they should.
I really think they should. He knows the defense. He's that finishing piece. And then you can have a rookie that sits behind him and kind of learns for a year. I think that would be just great for this defense right now. But I'm trying to think, is there any others? Sean Wade, I don't know. Day one, I don't think he'd be able to do that transition.
Yeah, I mean, there are some guys that I've enjoyed watching their tape. James Wiggins from Cincinnati is one. He's had 2 ACL injuries, but I mean, when he's on the field, I think without the injuries, he'd be talked about as a top 50 pick pretty easily. He was all conference, and when he's out there, he can do split field stuff. He can do some box work, he can do some nickel stuff. I think he's really talented. I also really like Jamar Johnson from Indiana, another guy who can come down, do some slot work, do some split field stuff. I think the Draft Network has him like valued at pick 200 or something. I think that guy's easily going top 100. He's too versatile on what teams are looking for from safety right now, right? Like we talk about versatility maybe sometimes being like code for, a guy's actually not good at anything. Oh, he's so versatile. That's because he doesn't dominate any one area specifically. I don't know if that's true for safety though. I think if you want versatility, one position where you have to have it in today's NFL is safety because they're asked to do so much. And I think both those guys have versatile traits. It's why like a guy like Malik Hooker, a really good cover one safety, how much value does that have, right? Like you know what your coverage is going to be a lot of times.
Right. So. Well, then we have Glenn Hauser. Do you think K-Jack could be back for $5 million? I think if Anthony Harris just got $5 million, that's probably about what you're looking at there for K-Jack. Maybe $1 million or $2 million more because, I mean, he has graded out great for the last couple of years. I know we don't want to talk too much about PFF and their grades and stuff like that, but
coverage grades are like specifically
right. But for his job and what the Broncos want him to do, I mean, he's lived up to that hype pretty darn well. He's one of the few guys from a couple years ago that has actually lived up to his contract for sure. Yeah,
no, that's a good one. I would love to bring him back. I wouldn't mind them bringing Will Parks back too. I don't think Will Parks, you would love him being one of your 2 split field starting safeties, but when you've invested like you have in cornerback now with the The pass rush that they're going to have also, I mean, it's not the worst. This is a good one too. Hasim Nasruddin from Florida State. I don't love him, but like at pick 71, I get it. I mean, he's long and he moves solid, and that's for a safety. I think he's got a pretty high floor.
Yeah.
So,
wish he'd put on about 10 pounds, but
he's a little, he can have
little,
10 of mine.
Thin.
We got Christian Garas coming in. What about Mariota release? The Raiders released him a few days ago. I don't think the Raiders have released Mariota yet. If they did, I would be screaming. I told you, I'd be in George Paton's house right now doing a breaking and entering and yelling at him to sign Mariota. Maybe not yelling. Maybe I just sternly ask him because he did a good job by bringing in Kyle Fuller. But I would be all about bringing in Mariota.
Yeah, I always think of the show The Office, one of the final episodes that Dwight has a megaphone and he's yelling like 3 feet from somebody and they're like, can you put that down? He's like, this is how I express how much I love you. And that's how much you'd be expressing how much you want Mariota with the Broncos.
I feel like also there's a meme of like a kid playing a trombone, like with 2 feet from a girl, like getting off the school bus. And she's like, ooh, and he's like right in her ear. Like that would be me. Just
okay. There we go.
Sign Mariota. Did Mariota he said he did get released. I didn't think he was. If he was, then I'm in. I've been busy house hunting today. I'm sorry, John. John, I pulled that one off there for a second to pull up. Somebody said he did get released. Guys, we thought Kyle Fuller was released like 30 times before he actually was. So I don't know what to believe. Holden Adams coming in here with the $4.99 super. Holden, you're a doll. We love you. Rocking that Cortland Sutton one. I would like to circle back to Cortland Sutton too, because this is a topic for another day, but we probably got to talk Cortland Sutton in context to Kenny Golladay. If we take Lance or Fields on draft day, how are you handling them? You start them or you let them sit behind Locke or a vet? Well, I have signed Mariota in this fantasy world already, so he's probably sitting behind Mariota, and I'm letting Locke and that rookie compete. But also, if somebody's willing to give me like a round 3 pick for Locke, even if it's like a 2022 round 3 pick or something like a 4 and another 4 in 2023, then I'm interested. But that's probably what I'm doing. But God, fingers crossed, man. If they can bring Mariota in, I would have almost no complaints with this offseason. Not that Mariota's great. I just think he has the best like floor with also the highest attainable ceiling of anybody you get without having to give up draft capital.
Right. And so here's the reason I think we need to talk about why do you trade Locke? Because he is a cost-controlled rookie on a rookie contract. The reason you do that is a lot of times for the locker room, because Locke's been here for 2 years. He's got guys that are going to be big fans of him, and it just makes it a little bit more seamless in the transition to, okay, hey, this rookie, this guy is our future. Rest of the locker room, get on board, get going with this guy. I think that's a lot of times what you try to do is just try to mitigate some of those locker room issues that could show up.
Yeah, and to add on to that, there's only so many reps to go around, right? So you're trying to develop Drew Lock while also trying to develop Justin Fields / Trey Lance. I mean, that's probably not good strategy. There is actually it is a zero-sum kind of thing with those reps. So, given the market and how many teams have older quarterbacks, I think somebody would be willing to give up a late day 2, early day 3 pick for Locke. I mean, it's at that point, it's kind of like taking a quarterback. Like, let's say you take Jamie Newman, right? Like, this guy has some tools. Maybe he'll hit, right? And that's kind of where you're thinking about there. So we got another one coming in here. Ooh, the double supers on the screen. Alfonso coming in here with the $5 super. Sorry, I just had to give John a hard time there for a second. He's smiling. I can see it. Who are your top 5 prospects at pick 9? Oh, that's a smile there, John. I wish you guys could have seen that one.
A lot of teeth.
Who are your top 5 prospects at 9? Carl, can we do this without quarterback? I feel like if it's quarterback, it's like all the top 4 quarterbacks and Sewell. All right, let's move on.
All right, so number 1, Sewell. I think when you're talking about position value and just player, the actual player himself, he would just be a great fit. I think I'd have Pitts number 2. I'd have Slater number 3.
Okay.
Farley number 4. Oh man, a lot of ways you can go on pick 5 or the 5th one. I guess I'll go Waddle number 5 for me.
Ooh, not Chase, even though Chase projects more as an X, and you might need to have a hole at X compared to speed. Waddle's so good, man. I don't blame you one bit. I'm curious your thoughts here. You're the wide receiver guy.
it really comes down to, I like guys that can just do so many multiple things on offense. Now maybe that's me just being very jealous of what the Chiefs do and how they use their playmakers.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to be able to see that with the Broncos, just because, I mean, it causes so much confusion. I mean, when Tyreek Hill is coming across the formation and you fake a handoff to him, you still see the entire defense go with Tyreek Hill because they're going, this guy, if he gets the ball, he's gone. If we don't stop this guy. And so
he also dictates box numbers. Like a good running back also dictates box numbers, but so does a speed wide receiver like that. Like you cannot play single high safety or you are fudged, right? Like, so like that's important to be able to manipulate things coverage wise and know that you like, well, I'm not going to be confused about what these safeties are doing because if it's single high, I'm going to the guy that runs a 4.2 40. You know, it helps the quarterback a lot. So good point.
And I do want to point out, I had 4 offensive guys there out of the 5.
Yeah, I mean that's how the top of this class is, Carl.
Yeah.
I will be different here, just to be a little different. I do think that Sewell, Slater, although I don't love the Slater fit as much, because I think I wanted to try him at tackle first. So I'm taking a guy in the top 10. I want him to be a tackle. I think he's a better outside zone scheme guy. I don't know if he's as much like power blocking, gap blocking for the tackle position as he's more of a recovery winner, right? Or a positional winner rather than a brute force guy. So, you know, he's still so talented and you'd really another investment in the offensive line. No issue there, but Pitts, Sewell, Slater, I still think Caleb Farley is such a good scheme fit. Now I'm not as worried about, he missed a year. Okay. We'll play him somewhat this year. I still think he's got elite talent and he's a great scheme fit and the cornerback is that valuable. And you have more long-term need at cornerback than wide receiver. Otherwise, I would be with you with wide receiver. It's just like you have these young investments still, and I am probably going to pay one of Sutton or Patrick. I'm not going to let both those guys go. So probably not doing the wide receiver. This is going to kind of be this one has an asterisk on it. I'm not going to say Parsons because the off-field stuff scares the hell out of me. And I don't know, were we on the podcast together when Malik McDowell's draft? I think we were.
Yeah.
Okay, Malik McDowell, everybody's saying, this guy is so immature, so many questions, blah, 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 character issues, locker room issue. I didn't care because I saw the athletic tools and the talent, and I'm like, I'm going to take a shot. And he's out of the league in 3 years. So, like, this stuff matters. And I get a lot of the same vibes with Parsons. And Parsons stuff is even scarier because, like, the hazing stuff is, like, bordering on domestic violence. Assault. I don't want to use the R word, but, holy cow.
Yeah.
But asterisks here. If the medicals come back clean, Jalen Phillips at 10. Now, I know that's really scary, but part of it is the nuance of Jalen Phillips that UCLA, if you have 3 concussions, you are automatically retired. You're not allowed to play sports for UCLA anymore. Just a little bit more progressive, I guess, on that medical side of things. But if you don't have concerns about Jalen Phillips' long-term medicals, I think he's probably the best defensive player in this class, like talent-wise. He's got great burst. He's flexible. He's long. He can win in a variety of ways. It's the concussions that are scary. But I mean, you're talking, if we're ruling out the quarterbacks at 9, I think there's a conversation to be had about Jalen Phillips. He's just so talented. He's so talented. Right. So, but I'm scared. There's an asterisk on that one for a reason.
Okay. All right. We have Shadif Henson coming back in again. Really appreciate it. Thoughts on Jabril Cox?
I would it's another one of those guys where like 40 is a little early for me. And I understand that he might not make it to 71, but like, I want to see what the board looks like at 40 before I go in with Cox. And if he's not there at 71, I'll figure something else out. I'm more interested in Jamin Davis from Kentucky because like Cox is very smooth, but he doesn't close A to B very well. He's not super explosive and like top 40 pick at linebacker. That guy needs to be able to close some ground. I do not see that with Cox. Very smooth, good mover. I like in terms of short area and coverage and stuff, but like A to B, I don't see it. Sideline to sideline, I don't see it. At 71, the whatever, fine. But I would much rather take Baron Browning or Jamin Davis if we're talking linebacker at 40.
There we go.
Just my opinion. What do you think?
Jake King coming in here. Appreciate it again right there, Jake. You guys do a great job. Love the show. Is offensive tackle our biggest need now after we shored up cornerback room with Fuller? Go ahead, you want me to go on this one?
Yes,
all right.
I do.
I'll say safety right now just because there's no one. It is Justin Simmons, nothing. Yeah. It's scary where that room is at. Usually like to have 4 safeties that have at least 2 that are good, obviously, that can be starters, and 2 that have ability to at least come in on some snaps and be special teams guys.
Yeah.
We have no one that has that ability to come in right now that you would trust on the field. Every offensive coordinator would say, this is where we're going with the football. You will attack this area of the field. Wherever that safety is, you go after that guy.
So you hope, though, with the pass rush and the cornerbacks that you have and Justin Simmons, that Vic could do a little bit of scheming where it doesn't have to be amazing. But I'm with you. I mean, Trey Marshall, he has value as a 4th safety. Maybe I would be comfortable with him as the 3rd going into the draft and just seeing kind of what teams look like. Maybe pick up somebody when teams go from 90 to 53. Also, that's another area where you can add talent. Broncos have done it multiple times. But I'm with you. Like going in with Trey Marshall as your number 2, I don't feel great. I do not feel great.
All right, Scott.
That was outside of quarterback, though, right? Like you were just taking quarterback off the board there.
Oh,
okay.
yes. That's. I think we have to always kind of put that caveat into the conversation there, but
it's in its own universe.
It is, yeah. So Scott Edwards coming in here with the $10 super chat. Really appreciate it there, Scott. Love the picture there of both of you. Nobody is talking about safety. Talanoa
Hufanga. You nailed it.
Hey, thank you. He would
There's
be
so
a
many hard
great
names in the
safety.
Pac-12.
I know. I don't know what happens there, but he would be a great safety to either sit behind Jackson if we bring him back or possibly start day 1.
I won't lie to you. I get some like Sua Craven's feelings with Hufanga. Not as much the off the field concerns, but the health and like this guy's a dime backer, right? Like he's that 6th defensive back that sometimes you play him, but like too high. I don't see him having that ability. Honestly, I might be more interested in him as a will in defense. I mean, we just saw that with Keanu Neal, just signed with the Cowboys, and he played safety for the Falcons for a few years. But guess what? Game's changing. You got to have more versatility back there on that back end. And so he's going to be a will linebacker for the Cowboys defense. So totally changes. I think that's probably Hufanga's projection for me. I just don't see the split field deep safety work that he can do.
Right.
But that's just me.
All right. Dehine? We'll go with that, with the monkey with a gun. There we go. Nice picture. If we trade back to 15 to 20, who are your top 3 targets? # Nick's REI fund.
Oh my God. The REI in Seattle is, we were there for like 3 hours, right?
It makes
double mask.
Yeah. It makes you weep tears of joy.
My
wife's cousin was one of their high-ranking officials there, not to brag
George.
too much. And so he'd let us go there and look at some things. It was kind of nice. I liked it. Now he's working for Russell Wilson, actually.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Cool.
So I told him, I said, I talked to his mom, actually, and I said, do you think he would ever let us talk to Russell Wilson on this show, even though it's a building the Broncos? He said, I think we can talk about that.
We should convince him. Look at the Bears and the Raiders right now. No, look at the defense. Come on, Russell. We can meet in Seattle. I'm in Seattle, buddy. I will buy you a beer or Mr. Unlimited. What I don't care. Talented. Top 15 or top guys. If you paid back in the 15 to 20 range, I'll go real quick here. I am very interested in Azeez Ojulari. I think he's very talented. I think he's going to be in that range. Maybe you could say Kwity Paye as well, but I think Kwity Paye will go off the board before Azeez. I mean, you're talking 4-3 team versus 3-4. What do you want? So Azeez Ojulari, Greg Newsome, another one I have no issue going 15 to 20, investing in that cornerback position. And then Christian Darrisaw. That'd be my next guy. So all positions of value, cornerback, edge rusher, offensive tackle. Those are positions where you're probably okay 2021. 2022, though, you're going to have multiple holes to fill. Let's patch one up now. Unless they go quarterback, that's, again, talking its own universe. But if you're going to have a hole at those positions, you probably want to think about filling it now. You want a guy in that fermentation chamber right now, so that way they're good to go 2022. #good vibes. We got Christian Garas coming in again. Sorry if I'm pronouncing your last name. I looked it up, and I was wrong. They're trying to get Mario to take a pay cut. Yes. Yep. So...
yeah, last time I saw, they were trying to get him to take a $3 million pay cut, which I don't know. The Raiders, what they've done this offseason, I mean, as a Broncos guy, I'm like, thank you, Raiders, for what you have done. Your quarterback, who is skittish, let's just destroy the entire offensive line in front of him. your game that's supposed to be based on power running and just running over teams, that's gone. So yes, thank you Raiders for doing that. And if you decide to cut Mariota and he comes to the Broncos, thank you so much more.
Yeah.
John Gruden,
And the
you
Broncos
are the
are
gift that keeps giving.
The Broncos are a team too, where he probably would think he could win the starting gig, right? Like Drew Lock versus Mariota. I think Mariota would win. Anything could happen, but I think Mariota would win. And he's a good scheme fit for Shermer. And it opens the door for the quarterbacks as well. I mean, let's make it happen. We keep talking about things on here and they just kind of magically occur. Let's just keep putting it out in the universe. I think that'd be a good one. Speaking of putting things out in the universe, coming in from Iowa, supporting the Broncos from Iowa, Samuel Hayes rocking the hat there. Can't see the image is a little small there, but I'm going to assume it's an Iowa Hawkeye, not an Iowa State hat. Iowa won today in the bracket. Carl, we might have an impending matchup coming up, man. That's Sweet 16. Kansas versus Iowa. Oh my God, if that happens. Carl's the nicest guy, like I know, guys, but when it comes to Kansas basketball and disparaging the Iowa Hawkeyes basketball team specifically, pulls no punches. This dude is merciless. So if they play and Iowa wins, I bite my tongue. I'm kind of like, Iowa Hawkeye basketball. But if they win, Carl, coming for you. We got to get to Samuel's question. He's asking about the Broncos at 9. I mean, I think my strategy, honestly, do you think the Falcons? I know Albright keeps saying they're going to take Lance, but with how Matt Ryan's contract is structured, I mean, they can't even get out of it for like another 3 years, right? Like, and then at that point, you only have 2 years left of cost control for that quarterback. Do you think they are going to take Lance? Do you think they would? I mean, it seems weird. I've heard other things too. It's just I don't know.
Right. No, I think especially once they did that deal, I was kind of going back and forth before it, but once they redid his contract, I was like, it's really hard to see them going quarterback because, like you said, it's either you can't get out of that contract. The dead money is just impossible. And are you really going to bring in this rookie to sit there for 2 to 3 years? I mean, it's kind of like Green Bay right now. Green Bay's kind of running into that same thing where I think they kind of thought they were maybe going to be parting ways with Aaron Rodgers soon. And then he goes and has an MVP season. And so now they're kind of stuck with this first round quarterback that you're like, what are we going to do with this guy? I don't think the Falcons want to find themselves in that situation. So I think really their best option would be some of their weapons are getting a little older. And I think it's probably about that time where you're going to need to add another guy. Kyle Pitts, I'm sure they're probably pretty high on him.
That's a team that I think would be very happy to trade back with the Broncos and still pick up there pretty high and get a guy. So, good. Would they be a good trade option? So you said earlier you trade up to 3 and get Kyle Pitts or Justin Fields, excuse me.
Yeah.
I have Justin Fields higher, but not, like I said, not high enough where it's like this clear delineation between him and Trey Lance. I know Trey Lance is definitely a lower floor, but he's younger too, and he's got more tools. And also people absolutely just rave about his intelligence. Not that Justin Fields isn't intelligent, but like we're talking Ivy League offers here with Trey Lance. So maybe I'm sitting there at 9 and thinking like, I have 4 quarterbacks that I love. I'm going to stand here. And if let's say I just want to get the 4th one, right? Like just give me the 4th one off the board. I don't want to have to take the 3rd one. I want whatever one fall. And that's kind of what the Bills did too, right? They're sitting there and I'm like, okay, all these guys jumping off the board. I'll just take that next one there because I got them ranked on this tier. And it ended up working for them. They didn't have to trade up there to get that one guy because they like multiple guys the same. So that's where I'm at. Now, I know that's a little bit of a risk with the Falcons because if, let's say, the Panthers trade up to 3 and take Lance and then the Falcons take Fields at 4, well, then you're SOL. But might be able to get a little bit more value or give up less value. It's worth pondering.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that
we got another super coming in down the tracks.
Oh,
Chris Hernandez saying, cheers, my dudes. Hashtag click those little thumbs up. Chris, you are absolutely cheers. I did not bring my adult beverage down here with me, but it is Saturday night. We've been going for an hour and 20 minutes. So if there's still more supers, we'll stick around, obviously. But I do have a beer calling my name. I saw earlier someone was throwing out acronyms, EPA, PFF, DVOA, IPA. I got an IPA in the fridge that is... Oh God, I love IPAs, Carl. I'm such a basic person. Samuel Hayes coming in again. Yeah, Iowa just won the NCAA wrestling tournament. That's right, Carl. Oh, go Hawks. And should make a good run of basketball. First university to win both. Go Hawks. Student at Iowa. Sam, I'm sad that I was in Iowa City for 4 years before moving out to Seattle in August. And warm up building the Broncos stuff, hoping to be famous some point. I'd see like Kirk Ferentz walking around, and that was kind of the coolest one, or talking with the football players. But that's go Hawks. Are there any Hawkeyes, Sam, that you think the Broncos should go this year? I think my guy would be Chauncey Golston. If you can get Chauncey Golston day 3, that'd be a fun pick.
There you go. I was just going to say, is NCAA wrestling, is that even real wrestling?
It's not real because the Hawkeyes just win it every year. They're just that good, So it's kind of like, no. Actually, Penn State has been really, really good for the last few years. And the team historically that's won the most is Oklahoma State, but Iowa has like huge history in wrestling. So I don't know if you ever watched Grey's Anatomy, but the guy was like, one of the guys in it was a wrestler from Iowa, because just to be cliche, it's a religion out here. Tristan Wirfs, really good wrestler as well. So cross train. If you guys have kids, don't let them just play one sport. Cross train them. Especially wrestling is great for those trench players, because leverage. Okay, John is throwing the hands up right now. Oh, it is. Okay, it's that time. Well, guys, we appreciate you so much. We're going to get on out of here. That's going to do it for Mile High Insiders, presented by Building the Broncos tonight on this Saturday night. You guys can find Carl on Twitter at Carl Dumler MHH. Also, guys, make sure you find John on Twitter at John K MHH. We wouldn't be able to do the show without him. Also, he's good for providing some laughs and smiles behind the scenes too. Let us know what's going on here. Guys, make sure you head on over to milehighhuddle.com for all of our written content and the MHH community content as well. That's very important. That's a good area where we can talk some football on those articles in the chat section, et cetera, et cetera. Guys, head on over to iTunes, leave us a 5-star rating and a comment. Doing so, we need to go back and check that soon. I said that if anybody was putting those on there for the Huddle Up podcast, which is all of us, that we would read them on the show. And I haven't checked them in a couple weeks, but we'll get back on that. So if you guys put in a 5-star rating in and a comment, we'll pull you up on here. It's essentially like a super. We'll talk it through. So we appreciate it. Jay Roper wrote us a super nice one. We really do appreciate that. Also, probably the most helpful thing you guys can do for us: like, subscribe, and share. And I'm seeing now, I came back to the screen to reading off the closing script there. Eric Gerst come in. We'll be back to the clip. We'll go back to the script. As an NDSU alum, I'd love to see Denver go Trey Lance, Dylan Radins, and Jabril Cox back to back rounds 1 through 3, respectively. Go Bison. Well, that's I guess that's a possibility. I mean, that would fill out three needs. I will say, I like Radins. I don't really know if I love him in Denver. Like, short arms, kind of more of a zone heavy guy. Like, if we were still running the Kyle Shanahan scheme, I'd be more interested. I just don't know if he's a power scheme guy, especially if he's going to play guard. So Charlie Beagle coming out, having a blast. Great show as always. Well, guys, like I said, like, subscribe, share. If you are joining us on YouTube, if you're still watching on Facebook, click those thumbs up, laugh, react, heart react, angry react. We said Philip, we were kind of whatever about Philip Lindsay. I'm sure last night's show was, or some of the shows have been a little bit more, verbose with that, grandiose with that. So that wasn't us today, but we're happy, man. Bringing in Fuller. Defense is taking shape. I feel like this is going to be the best Broncos team we've had since the Broncos won the Super Bowl in 2015. So that's great. But guys, like I said, like, subscribe, and share. Also follow us on Twitter at BTB Football Pod, and also at MHI_Football Pod, as well as at Mile High Huddle. Carl, we went a little long tonight, an hour and 20 minutes, but we had a lot to talk about. So we really do appreciate that. Support to our supporters. Also, everybody who super chatted today, turn in stars. You guys were awesome today. We really do appreciate that. When those things are flying and you guys are dictating the conversation, that's when it's the most fun. It's so free flowing. And we want to when the chat's going like that, it's great that we want to get to everybody, but the fact that you guys are also interacting with each other on the chat at the same time, even though you don't always disagree, or even though you don't always agree, that's great. It's the community, man. That's what it's all about. Carl, do you have any plans tonight?
Well, I got to go run some hills.
Oh man, Carl.
Next week's my race, man. I leave for Vegas on Wednesday.
Have you ever backpacked? Or do you do any of that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Gotta come out here sometime.
Yeah. No, for Christmas, my parents got us both, my wife and I both, backpacking backpacks.
Oh, what'd you get?
Oh shoot, I can't remember. It wasn't a brand name big time.
It's an Osprey? Okay.
No, not quite.
Hashtag brands. But thank you guys so much. Dave coming in here, hashtag Broncos for life. We appreciate you guys. Have a great one. Stay safe. We'll see you next week. We'll see you next Tuesday. Carl and I will. And as always, go Broncos.